Hello, I'm Richard Rogers, and I want to welcome you into this new year at Unity of Prescott. We are so excited as we launch into this new year. I have a 7-week series entitled the 7 Habits of Highly Transformative People. And we're going to talk about how individuals transform their lives and what are the habits that we need to develop to really be transformational. So that's where we're going. But there's a couple announcements that I want to share with you. Tomorrow night, I begin a 4-week class called Leveraging Up. We're going to be doing it on Zoom. We've got lots of people already registered, but I want to include you. If you're dealing with self-doubt, if you think life is harder than it needs to be, this is your class. The link to sign up is in our spotlight, and I want you to sign up and be a part of this. Also, beginning next week, Lark's got a new class called Christ Conscious Through Creative Expression, and it's going to be an 8-week class. And it's going to be Wednesday nights and Thursday mornings. You can sign up for that. And then also this week, we have another Women of Unity Zoom event. The link will also be in this week's spotlight. So join us. I'm so excited to be a part of your year this year. I know that 2021 is going to be our best year yet. So I know we can put away 2020 and really open our mind and our heart to all the good that God has for us. So we have great music from Faith Rivera, and she's even got the kids enrolled in this week. So enjoy the music, and I'm so glad that you're a part of our ministry.
Aloha! Wait, I have to lean to the side. Hi!
This is
Kai.
and this is
Izzy.
Kai and Izzy, and we're going to lead you in coming together, and you're going to follow the kids. So and she might dance and sing too. So thank you for having us. Here we go. I got love.
I got love.
I got peace.
I got peace.
I got joy.
I got
flowing like a river. I got love.
I got love.
I got peace.
I got peace.
I got joy.
I got
flowing like a river. One heart. One mind.
One man.
One love.
One
Flowing like a river. I got hope.
got hope.
I got strength.
I got strength.
I got faith.
I got faith.
Every mountain. I got hope.
I got hope.
I got strength.
I got strength.
I got faith.
I got
To move
faith.
every mountain. One heart. One mind.
One man.
One love.
One
To
man.
move every mountain. I got you.
I got you.
I got me.
I got me.
I got us.
I got
Coming together, yeah. I got you.
I got you.
I got me.
I got me.
I got us.
I got
Coming together. One heart.
one heart.
One mind.
One man.
One love.
One
Coming together. You know we're coming together.
coming together.
Coming together.
Coming together.
Oh, coming together.
Coming together.
You know we're coming together.
Coming together.
Oh, one heart.
One heart.
One mind.
One man.
One love.
One
Coming together. I got you.
I got you.
I got me.
I got me.
I got us.
I got
Coming together. Yeah, I got you.
I got you.
I got me.
I got me.
I got
I
us.
got
Coming together. One heart. One mind.
one man.
One love.
One
Coming together. One heart. One heart.
One heart.
One mind.
One man.
One love.
One love.
Coming together. One heart.
One heart.
One mind.
One man.
One love.
One love.
Coming together. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yay!
Oh, my gosh. Thank you, God. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You say bye.
So let's move into this time of meditation. I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to feel the full year out ahead of you. A year filled with one blessing after another. And I want you to feel your power to transform your life and to transform your world. that through the power of God in you, you've been given the power of transformation. You've been given the power to turn the limited into the unlimited. You've been given the power to turn hate into love. You've been given the power to turn sickness into health. That as a spiritual being, through the power of God within you, you have the power to transform each and every situation into a greater experience of life. I am one with the transformative power of God. I want you to allow those words just to speak to your soul. I am one with the transformative power of God. I am not a victim to life. I am not limited by the situations around me. I am one with the transformative power of God. Where there is lack or limitation, I create the infinite goodness of God. Where there is darkness and fear, I transform that into higher and higher levels of God's good. That I am here to be an instrument of God's good. And I want you to see that in every area of your life. That you no longer need to be worried or afraid of life. You no longer need to be concerned about tomorrow and what tomorrow will bring. Because you are connected to the transformative power of God. The power of God is in you to transform each and every situation into a higher level of good. I am one with the transformative power of God. I am one with the transformative power of God. Each and every situation in my life is here to bless me. Invites me to call it into a greater experience of life. That lack and limitation have no power over me. Fear and disease have no power over me. For I am connected to the transformative power of God. I am one with the infinite power of God moving through every aspect of my life. I am a transformer. Where there is lack and limitation, I call forth the goodness of God. I am one with the transformative power of God. And I live this truth not only for my own life, but for everyone in my world. I speak the truth. I know the truth. I claim the truth. And I watch the glory of God manifest right before my eyes. In the name and through the power of the living Christ, I claim my ability to transform any situation. Through the power of God in me, I transform my life and my world. And so it is. Amen.
I'm Faith Rivera, and although there is an ocean between us, I know that we are truly one in the love and one in the music. Thank you for letting me be a part of your service today. called to be a dreamer, believe in what can be. I am called to be a maker, be an instrument of peace. I am called to be a giver, of abundance I receive. I am called to be a prayer, living out the truth I seek. I am called to be everything. I am called to be. Called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I am the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We're called to be. You are called to be a mother, to nurture family. You are called to be a brother, be strength in times of need. You are called to be a neighbor, see a friend in all you meet. You are called to be a leader, to build community. You are called to be a prayer, living out the truth you seek. You are called to be everything. You are called to be. Called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. You are the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We're called to be. We are called to be kindness, set the brokenhearted free. We are called to be forgiveness, where pain has run too deep. We are called to be compassion, be the wind beneath each wing. We are called to make communion, only then can we succeed. We are called to be a prayer, living out the truth we see. We are called to be everything. We are called, to be, yeah. Called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. We are the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We're called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love. Called to be peace, called to be joy. We're called to be the kindness, forgiveness, compassion. Called to be. It's you and me. Oh, we're called to be.
So do you consider yourself a transformative person? Or are you a person that kind of just accepts what is? You know, I believe that there are really kind of two ways that we do life. Some people are transformative. They take what it is and they change it and they transform it and they make it better. And some people just kind of live with what is. And what I want us to do as we begin this new year is I want to do a 7-week series on the 7 habits of highly transformative people. And it's a bit of a knockoff on Stephen Covey's work, right? His classic book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. But what I want you to see today is that I believe spiritual people are transformative people. That spiritual people are able to take what is and transform it into the next highest form. And in the world today, we need transformative people. We need people who are willing to accept life as it is, exactly the way it is right now, but then transform it to the next highest level. Because for many of us, we were raised in religious environments that told us that we were just supposed to slug it out in life and our reward was going to come in the afterlife. And so many of us have this high capacity for misery and suffering. Like some of us are just like rock stars at being able to tolerate misery and suffering. And there's nothing inherently wrong with it, but there's nothing inherently right about it either. That if you look at the ministry of Jesus, what I want you to see is that he was always about transformation. He was always about taking what was and making it something higher. He even turned water into wine. You got to love a Messiah that is worried about the amount of wine at a party, at a wedding. You got to love a spiritual teacher that wants to make sure that there's enough wine for the party, right? And that's what he did over and over again. He transformed the sick and he made them healthy. He transformed darkness and he made light. He's transformed storms and made peaceful seas. He even transformed the dead and the dying into living life in a greater way. And what I want you to see is that same power is available to all of us. Like that whatever you're going through right now, what I want you to see is there's a power of God in you that allows you to take any situation, any condition, and to transform it into something far greater. And so, yes, it's a blessing just to make peace with what is, right? But part of the process is to make peace with what is and then transform it into something greater. That we are not here in this world to suffer. And especially with all that's going on in our world today, in the midst of a pandemic, we're here to transform that pandemic into a healthier life experience. We are here to transform lack and limitation into the abundance of God. We are here to transform sickness and illness into life and health and wholeness. We're here to transform hatred and racism into loving kindness. That's our job as spiritual people. And as spiritual people, especially during this time, I need you to be transformational. The world needs you to be transformational. The world needs you to take and accept what is and then make something more divine out of it. Make something greater, more loving, more kind, more abundant, more peaceful, more beautiful. Right? And we see that in the world around us over and over again. That transformative people don't settle for what is. They accept what is, and then they take it higher. So let's look for a moment at energy, right? The nature of energy. So the first law of thermodynamics, which I know we've all studied a great deal, the laws of thermodynamics, but the first law of thermodynamics says that energy can be changed from one form to another but it cannot be created or destroyed. And that's really a spiritual truth as well as a truth in physics, right? So our job is not to create energy. That's God's job. God has already created all the energy in the universe that we will ever need. Our job is not to worry about trying to create energy. We are in the job of transforming energy. We're in the job of transforming energy from one form to another form. And I've used this imagery a lot in the last several months, but I love this imagery of this desk filled with bills, right? And now most people would look at a desk filled with bills, and the person is behind the desk and they're fretting and they're worrying about how they're going to pay all these bills, and all they see is lack and limitation. And what I want you to actually see is that's abundance, right? That you are so abundant at creating debt, right? And that when we move the focus off of the debt, we can actually transform so that every bill gets to be paid in full, because we are here to transform energy. So in a financial terms, liquidity is a term used to describe something on its ability to turn something from an asset to cash, right? So you can say that the liquidity of your house is it's semi-liquid, right? Because you can sell your house if you need cash, but then you have to find a buyer and you have to go through escrow and you have to go through the whole process. So it's not a very quick process. If you need cash quick, selling your house is not a great job. But it's an asset, it's energy, but it's not very liquid energy. It doesn't transform well into cash. And it builds assets, it builds wealth, but it doesn't always transform quickly when you need money quickly. Now, say you've got a chicken, right? And you have this chicken. Now, this chicken, you consider this chicken as an asset, right? It has a value, right? But you can't go to McDonald's and say, look, I have this chicken, or you can't go to Sprouts and say, I have this chicken. I'd like to trade this chicken for a Happy Meal, or I'd like to change this for a week's worth of groceries, right? So a chicken is not very liquid, right? It's hard to transform it into cash. Stocks and bonds, those are a little bit more liquid. But my money in your savings account or your checking account is very liquid. Now, why did I talk about the first law of thermodynamics? Why am I talking about financial liquidity? Because I want you to see that everywhere in the universe, there is this understanding of the transformation of energy, right? Well, your house is energy, and you can transform that energy into cash energy. Stocks and bonds, your retirement is energy. And you can transform that into cash energy. And over and over again, we're in the process of taking energy in whatever form it's in and transforming it into another form that may be more useful, that may be more helpful, that may be more beautiful, that may be more enjoyable, that may be more pleasurable. And that's all we do. As spiritual beings, we are always in the process of taking energy from one form and moving it into another form. And so over the next 7 weeks, we're going to talk about the habits transformative people use to transform their life from one form of energy to another form of energy. Now, let's look at some other forms of energy, if you will. Would you say which is the easiest to transform? If I give you these two forms of energy, which do you think is the easier one to transform? I'm going to give you anger and love. If I gave you a bucket of anger and a bucket of love, which do you think is the easier form of energy to transform? I think most of us would vote for that love is easier to transform. That love actually makes creating the next level of your life so much easier than anger does. But they're both energy, right? We've all experienced the power of energy, right? That energy has a power. And when we look at it, We know that energy has a power, but it's not always a useful energy. It doesn't always translate well in creating the next level of your life. What anger tends to do is continue to create the same situations over and over again. Angry people tend to create the same situations over and over again, and they don't move forward as easily as loving people do. Loving people tend to draw people to them. They tend to draw abundance to them. They tend to draw a great life to them. While angry people tend to have people kind of shift away from them. So we would say that anger is a less liquid form of energy, right? Forgiveness or unforgiveness. Now, I would suggest today that forgiveness is actually easier to transform into the next level of your life than unforgiveness. That unforgiveness actually creates more difficulty. If your energy is in the past or if your energy is in the present. I would think that if your energy is in the present, it's much easier to use that energy to create the life you want. But if the majority of your energy is in the past, if we're stuck in yesterday, it's very hard to move that energy into what we want and need right now. Beliefs in abundance and a belief in lack. Those are two energy sources. A belief in lack is actually more difficult to create the life that you want. Now, one of the things that, for me, the model for this is Jesus. That Jesus was an absolute master at transforming energy. Now, we are told that Jesus wore a seamless robe. Now, why is that important? Well, a seamless robe in Jesus' time was that was kind of the Gucci, that was the designer, that was the best clothes you could wear. That Jesus' robe was that it had no seams, that it was woven in one piece to fit him. Now, what's interesting is that Jesus didn't have 27 outfits. He didn't have his fat clothes and his skinny clothes. He didn't have his summer clothes and his winter clothes. Jesus had one outfit. Now, why would that work for him? Well, the reason it would work for him is that his energy wasn't tied up in form that he couldn't use. He kept himself very liquid so that he could speak the word in a moment and he could create miracles. That when you look at all the stuff you have in your life, what I want you to see is all that stuff requires energy. And as we release some of the loads and loads of stuff we have, we can actually transform our life from a life that's based on stuff, this life that's based on yesterday, a life that's based on stuff that doesn't even work for us. What I'd like to suggest is the stuff in your junk drawer is probably enough energy, or in your closet or in your garage, is more than enough energy to transform any situation of lack in your life. That we have an abundance of energy in our life, but we're using it in old form that doesn't serve us now. And I want you to be a transformer. I know the power of God in you will allow you to transform anything in your life. So, last week, in the week before, we did the burning bowl ceremony. And the burning bowl ceremony is about releasing the energy of the past so that it's available for you now. And one of the images that I want you to see today is that your pain is not a good way to store energy. And in fact, God is the only thing in the universe that is so pure that it can never be polluted. The consciousness of God, the energy of God is so pure, it can never be polluted. So whatever pain you give to God, what I want you to see is there's a transformative process that every time you give your pain, your disappointment, your fear, your woundedness to God, it is instantly transformed and comes back to you as grace. And grace is a very good use of energy. Because in the flow of grace, in the flow of goodness, that energy is available in an instant to take on any form that you desire, any form at all. So as you release the pain of the past, as you do a daily inventory of releasing your pain from yesterday, from last week, from 100 years ago. As you release that pain, then we become more fluid in our transformative process. We become more fluid in our creative process. So let's get to it. So the first habit that I want you to look at for the first habit of highly transformative people is the habit of seeing every situation as an opportunity for me to own myself. Every level of life, habit number one is it always starts with me. Now, that can seem like kind of an ego statement, right? That everything's about me. But the reality is, from a spiritual point of view, everything is about you. It literally is about you. That everything that shows up in your life is for you. It's for your good. It's for your healing, right? So many times we want to react to the situation that we don't begin by taking responsibility that this situation is for my good. Now let me give you an example. This weekend I'm driving around town and somebody honks at me. Now, I don't like to be honked at. I don't know if you like to be honked at, but I do not like to be honked at. And there's an initial reaction that I have of being honked at that is not always kind and gentle, right? I don't always give that my best response, right? So I'm driving around town, and it's a holiday weekend, and so I'm driving around town, and this person honks at me, and my first thought is not, you're a perfect child of God, right? That was not my first reaction to this, right? So I decide and the voice within me says, Richard, don't. Like, it is so clear. Sometimes God gives me messages that are so clear that I just absolutely, in an instant, even in my upset, I know that there's a message. And the Spirit said, Richard, don't. Just don't. Right? So I look over at the person who just honks as they go by, and it's a sweet little old lady from the church. And she's honking and waving at me because she's so excited to see me out and about. And she almost got the most ugly side of me. Like she almost did, right? Because what we want to be in that moment is a victim instead of realizing that in every moment we get to choose how we respond to life. So the situation in front of me, what I want you to see is the first habit is the situation in front of me is for me. Like whatever is in your life is 100% for you. Often we resist the situation. Often we feel victimized by the situation. But if it's in front of you, it's for you. If it's in front of me, it's mine. Now, how can I say that? Richard, this situation can't be mine. This really belongs to somebody else. Or I'm a big fat victim in this situation. No. If it's showing up in your life, it is for you. If it was for me, it would be showing up in my life. But if it's showing up in your life, it is 100% for you. So, 2, in every situation, we get to choose whether we're going to be a victim or we're going to be transformed into a blessing. Now, how do we know if we're relating to a situation as a victim? Well, I'm going to give you 3. The moment you say it isn't fair, you're in victim consciousness, right? The moment you say this situation isn't fair is number 1. The moment you say it isn't right, we are in victim consciousness. Or the moment you say, number 3 is, it shouldn't be this way. The moment we say it isn't right, it shouldn't be this way, we are in big fat victim consciousness. Like, we are not in the process of transforming that into something greater. We're accepting that whatever's in front of us, it isn't right, it isn't fair, it shouldn't be this way. And the reality is, if it's in front of you, it is for you. If it's showing up in your life, it is for you to transform it from the way it is into a higher blessing. Now you think, well, Richard, I should never have to do that. Well, but you're here. You could say that the 100 things that Jesus transformed, he shouldn't have had to do that. He was a spiritual master. Everything should have been hunky-dory for him. But over and over again, he took on situations to teach us how to transform them. And as he did that, he empowered all of us to look at the situations that are right before us and say, how am I being called? Who am I being called to be in this situation so that I can transform this situation into a higher level of good? So this week, as we practice the 7 habits of highly transformative people, I want you to look at everything that is in your life and accept it that it's for you. Now, it's not here to punish you. It's not here to victimize you. You're not here to just have to suck it up. It's here to lead you to a higher level of good, that you are here to be transformers. So what are you committed to transforming in your life this year? What situation, what condition are you willing to be a transformer in? Instead of just living with it, what is the 1 or 2 areas in your life that you are committed to transforming this year? And it doesn't even have to be something that's bad. It can actually be something that's good that you want to take up to great. But what's 1 or 2 areas in your life that you're committed to transform? Because what I know is that as you transform the outer, you're more importantly going to be transforming the inner. As you transform debt into abundance, as you transform sickness into health, as you transform hatred or racism into love, you're going to be transforming yourself in that process. That we are called to be agents of transformation. So you ready? Like, this year could not be more perfect for you to be an agent of transformation. Pick one area. Just pick one area. And I want you to make a commitment that you're willing to transform that area in your life. And realize it all begins with the first habit. That if it's in front of me, it is absolutely for me. Transformative people accept what's right in front of them, and they take it higher. So let's take that into prayer. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to feel the power of God within you. That the power of God within you calls you to be a transformer in your life. Calls you to transform any situation into a higher level of good. That whatever is in front of me is for me. It's for me to take it higher. It's for me to make it more beautiful, more abundant, more healthier, more alive than ever before. That today we accept what is. We fully accept what is. And we take it higher. And so it is. Amen. All right. This is the time of giving of our gifts and tithes, and I invite you to hold them in your hand as we bless them together. And again, as always, I just want to thank you for your generous support of our ministry over the last year. And, we are moving through this time and knowing that there's going to be a day sometime soon where we're going to transform our environment so that we can all meet together and celebrate and worship together in oneness, in love, in community, and in brother and sisterhood. And we know that your abundance right now allows us to continue to do this work till we can open the doors again. And so thank you for all the ways that you support us. Our offering blessing is divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, for every gift, for every blessing, for every good thing in our life. And as we give today, we know that our gifts come back to us 10, 100, 1,000-fold. That as we give, we receive in greater and greater ways. Thank you, God, for the courage to give and the abundance to know that we cannot outgive God. And so it is. Amen. All right. God bless you. I'm ready for a great new year. I hope you are too. Our prayer for protection is the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. God bless you, friend. Have a great new year.